it's Emily on sailing vessel Temptress. Clark and I have been living aboard this antique boat in the Dominican Republic for the past 2 years, and we're getting ready to go back to the States in 5 days. It's been almost 3 years since we've been back. 2019 we left, and we've got a lot to do between now and then. The boat is an absolute mess. We're trying to finish projects, get our paperwork in order, get planned and ready to go on this trip in an RV, which is totally new to us. So we're gonna go through what's on our to-do list and what are we rushing to do before we leave. Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Clark.
We opted out of a typical American life to live more independently, frugally, and off the grid.
We currently travel the world aboard our antique sailboat named Temptress.
Each month, we sit down to tell you where we are, what we're doing, share the best and worst moments, answer questions, and tell you exactly how much it costs us to live this life.
This is our adventure log for July 2022. Temptress is set up for domestic use right now, and we have to strip her for a hurricane. Even though there's no hurricane imminent, they could happen while we're away. So we have to put all of this down below.
This is the table that I built out of scraps from my dinghy. It normally goes here and we can sit at it. It's been out of commission for a while. It's finally getting done, and then I'm gonna stow it down below so that it's nice and shiny new when we get back. I'm going to use something called Wet Edge from Total Boat. That's going to keep it protected from UV, and it's going to resist scuffing and scraping, and it should be pretty washable. So that's another project.
Another thing we have to do before we leave is get copies of all of our official documents. Most importantly, obviously, is passports, but most importantly for getting back again are the boat paperwork. If you ever leave your boat somewhere, you can fly home. No problems, no question asked. When you try to come back, sometimes they require you to have a round trip plane ticket. If you have your boat paperwork, you can show that your boat is your round trip. So we'll be getting photocopies of all that today.
Well, the bathroom is all ready for its final coat of paint. We're going to use Total Boat's Total Bilge paint, which is going to give this a nice shiny surface. We've already done one coat, but we missed some spots and we ran out of paint. So they sent us some more, and we're going to get a nice good top coat on, and then we're going to run away while it off gases and hardens up because it's smelly stuff, but it's good stuff. So painting the bathroom definitely on the list before we go.
Temptress is not a very leaky boat, so our bilge pumps really don't get much of a workout. I decided to test them before we take off on this trip, and well, they're not working. There's always something. So I'm going to dig in here and pull them out. We can't be letting her be all alone during hurricane season without a way of taking care of herself if something goes bad. But this is a really messy job, so I won't take you with me.
If you watch our channel, you know we have a lot of food aboard the boat. Most of it's in pretty good shape and long-term storage ready. However, we're starting to just take a look through, make sure there's some of these rusty cans. We're either going to give them away or eat them up before we go, because if this goes bad in the 3 to 6 months that we're gone, the boat's not going to smell very nice when we get back. So just a last-minute check. Is our food safe and secure for when we leave?
Part of our preparation is finding someone who'll take charge of our boat when we're away. Luckily, we have very good friends in the harbor here, and one man in particular that I trust his opinion on what to do in a hurricane, probably over my own. So I feel very assured that Temptress is in good hands while we're away. He came over and dove down and inspected our mooring and made sure it all looked good and strong in preparation. Also, he cleaned all the barnacles off just the propeller and the rudder. So if he needed to, he could apply thrust and actually have a hope of steering her.
And as always, there's lots of laundry to do, so we don't have mildewy, sweaty stuff to come back to.
Before we leave, we have to strip off the awning and stow that away. We need to put the extra solar panels in a nice, safe place. I'll rig a big anchor that Steve could throw out if something imminent is coming. But otherwise, we just have to get the boat ready to deal with the worst that could come. Luckily, we're in Luperon Bay, and this is probably the safest hurricane hole in the whole Northern Caribbean.
The budget for July was pretty similar to the budget for all our other months here in Luperon. We spent about $1,000. We spent about 300 of that on food. Not a whole lot of expenses because we had a lot of parts and pieces for projects in inventory. But it's pretty much the same old, same old. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But we are going to track every cent that we spend on our RV trip so that we can share that with you and we can do a little comparison. What is boat life? What is RV camper lifestyle? And how do they compare? So stay tuned for that next month.
As always, preparing for an impending trip is too much to do and not enough time to do it. Sorry for the rushed video this time, but this is all the time we could afford. Next time we talk, we'll be in the United States. We'll be doing our trip around the country. We're looking very much forward to meeting our patrons along the way, and we will use Patreon to, tell you where we are and set up some meetups and coordinate that. So if you want to meet up or you want to get to know us a little bit, make sure you're on Patreon. We'd love to meet for a restaurant dinner sometime and say hey. That's about all. We'll talk to you next week. Bye from Temptress.
When we met, we knew that we did things differently, but with no regrets, both living life authentically. So we packed up this antique boat to make a life upon the sea. For the worse and for the better, to live a life full of adventure. Emily and Clark's adventure.
Thank you, Steve.